You are somebody who's thinking about franchising, or maybe you're early in your franchise development process, I've got news for you. Done is better than perfect. And let me explain this because it sounds like a cliche, but I think it's more important than ever when you're building a franchise system. So if you think about the process of creating a franchise, there's a bunch of new work products that have to be created. Obviously, you have the legal component. Perfect is pretty much important there, and you're going to hire somebody of legal counsel who's going to be able to provide that as close to perfect work. But really, outside of the legal component, you have a lot of other things that you have to build. You have to build your operating manual. You have to build a knowledge base or resource center. You have to build your training curriculum. You have to build all of these things. And frankly, it can be overwhelming, particularly if you're franchising as a small team. So, what do you do? Number one, you got to make a list of all the things that you have to create, all the assets you have to create, all the resources that you have to assemble for your franchisees to be able to operate their business. Okay, so that's step number one. Step number two is look at what other people are doing. You're not the first person to build an intranet or a knowledge base for your franchise. You're not the first person who needs to create an operating manual. So go do some research, find out what other people are doing. And there's a lot of frameworks and templates and knowledge out there that you can use to collapse some of your time, because time is going to be your biggest resource that you're going to want to preserve as you're going from one to one to one to many. Okay. The next step in the process is to get those first thoughts down. Build the first iteration of your knowledge base, build the first iteration of your operating manual, and just ship it. Get it done. Get that first draft done. Then go through a process where you collaborate on that. My process is, when I wrote our operating manual for our smoothie shop, is lock myself in my basement for a week. I wrote it, then I set it aside for a week. And then my business partner and I came back and we went through it and we made a metric ton of changes, but it felt so good to get done because it wasn't perfect, but I got it done. It doesn't mean that the project itself was done, but I got the first iteration done. And it made it so that when we were chipping away at all the things that we had to do, we felt like we were making progress. I think the worst thing that can happen for any entrepreneur is to get in this cycle. I kind of call it the endless review cycle. It happens a lot in our digital marketing company. If we're helping a client do something that's very permanent, like a logo, billboard, printed materials, things like that, you get in this review cycle of analysis paralysis, and you need to preserve your energy because you're going on a big, long marathon that's going to require energy, it's going to require capital, it's going to require attention and all these things. And the ability to just get something done, first iteration, go through whatever X amount of review cycles, and then call that done. Like draft one is done, version one is done. It is not perfect. Your franchisees, particularly your initial ones, they know that this thing is not going to be perfect. Okay. So don't beat yourself up. And this is coming from somebody who is a recovering perfectionist. It is hard. It is super, super hard. But done is better than perfect 100% of the time, except for the legal aspect. Make sure you get that dialed in. Get the legal aspect dialed in. Get that as close to perfect as possible. Everything else, done is better than perfect.